What made me want to be a composer? Well, it was during the most tortured depths of my adolescence. And someone introduced me to the, the most tortured of Russian compositions, the Shostakovich 10th Symphony. Profoundly depressing piece. I loved it. At last, someone spoke my language. And then I heard the Mahler first, and all that storm and stress and all that pounding on your fist impressed me enormously. So I immediately began writing a whole series of profoundly introspective and self-pitying piano compositions. And I've been gradually evolving from that point, I guess. Well, step one of this opera was the libretto, which I had read just for fun, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and it impressed me a great deal and moved me, in fact. It's a very moving story, and I thought, well, this would make a great opera. And then I started looking at the kind of opulent Victorian language and so forth, and I thought, well, I can't really imagine setting these words to music. But I started writing a version of it, and then I had some ideas, and I was talking to some friends, and it was a very kind of improvisational process initially, but finally the idea kind of crystallized in my head, and then I began writing it in earnest, and I found it very easy. It was very easy to write. It just flowed. Of course, now since I've set everything to music, there's been some editing, but that's a privilege you have. If you've written your own libretto, you don't have to call somebody up or, would your feelings be hurt if I cut this line? Nah, no, I don't worry about that. As you know, in Frankenstein, a scientist makes a kind of a monster. In this case, the monsters, so to speak, but they're robots, make a human. So it gets inverted in that way. So that put it in a kind of science fiction future where there aren't any humans anymore, just the robots. The sounds appropriate to the robots, of course my first thought was, we'll hook them up with microphones and we'll make their voice sound funny and we'll do all this electronic stuff. And then, the voice on my other shoulder said, you're only making it harder for an opera company to want to put this on. And I know that if you get eight people wired up with microphones, then you don't want to have to run that. You have to get someone else to run it. It's an additional thing. And besides, I didn't find myself really wanting to go there. In fact, a lot of the music for the robots is rather jazzy.